Hello and welcome to Module 1 training. In this one, we are going to start to learn how to break into our creativity and invest in that, maybe even learn a little bit about our leadership style or consulting style as well. So let me share a presentation, and this is a project that I did for one of my courses. Just sharing a little bit about it to hopefully inspire you all to take little bits that might apply to you or even adjust them to something that's more defining of your personality and your style, whether it be with consultants or with client teams or with your internal colleagues. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll walk through the presentation. I'm not going to read each one of the items in detail. However, you're welcome to pause this recording at any point in time and read the content on the slide. So for this project, we were tasked with taking information that we learned throughout the course and make something that was creative, a physical creative object with it. Some people did storyboards, some people did pottery that told a story, others did artwork. What I chose to do, because I'm not creative or artistic in any way, was I took a wine glass and decided to put some etchings or paintings on it that pulled away different concepts from the course, and I told through the imagery how it reflected either my style or something that I wanted to keep front of mind. So with this one, the reason that I chose a wine glass, not only because I will love wine, but it's because during the time that I was taking this course, we would have at work what's called Wine Fridays. And we would all sit around at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and just open up some bottles of wine, have a glass, and just let it kind of go for the week. We'd share frustrations or we shared stories, we'd make each other laugh. And it was just a really great time of bonding and just kind of being friends in the workplace. So that's what really drew me to this. And we would always, because of having the wine at work at the end of the week, we would have our wine glasses sitting out on our desk. And so that was another reason that I chose a wine glass, because I wanted it to be there front and center, reminding me every day, but also other people would see it and hopefully ask questions. And then they would give me a chance to explain and describe what it was. So the first imagery was a flame, and I still use this today. It's regulating the heat, and what that means is when there are situations that pop up and or issues or anything like that, there's a need to make sure that one, something that's starting to boil doesn't overcome the pot and start to become a really big issue. So that's the one side of regulating the heat, is just keeping a pulse on things and making sure that, okay, this is becoming an issue. Let's address it now before it becomes something bigger. But then on the other side too, when something starts to go quiet, and I think we've all experienced that, right? Like this client or this colleague is kind of withdrawing and being a little too quiet, that's when it's going cold. And so what have we missed? What do we need to maybe probe and look into to see, is there a situation that we have missed that we should have picked up on and address it to make sure that we keep that situation the right kind of warm, right? Just like our houses. So this flame just kind of reminds me to make sure to check in, nothing's going cold, and also monitor things to make sure they don't get over a boiling point. The next one is basically psychological safety in the workplace. So being someone who can be vulnerable and also open for others to become vulnerable, comfortable with sharing. And this applies to clients as well, right? We need to build these trusted relationships so our clients feel comfortable coming to us with leadership situations, confidential business decisions, anything along those lines, creating that safe environment to where if something shared in confidence, we will keep it, we will be a trusted partner, but also for our colleagues, making sure that we are always open to listening and helping our colleagues through whatever situation they might be, or if they just need to share something maybe about someone else and need an ear to listen to. So that was what the lockbox was resembling. The next one is authenticity. So this one for me was to remember to always be true to myself, to not let anything influence, including organizational culture, right? I am my own person, and while I can work for a certain organization that has a strong culture, I still need to be authentic to myself and my style. And that's not to say that you can't learn from other people and adapt your style or your personality over the years, which I'm sure all of us have done a little bit. But it's more just making sure that that's a conscious decision and that it's not being overbearing by something that's not true to ourselves. So that's why I kind of created a unique puzzle piece for authenticity. The next one is being adaptable. And I think as consultants, we constantly are faced with this. But beyond situations that need a resolution, it's also circumstantial. So if we're trying to work with a junior colleague, or maybe even someone within leadership or another practice or a client, and we're hitting these barriers, is there something that we're missing? And we're going to be learning about this in a little bit more detail in future modules. But essentially, it's forcing us, if we're hitting a roadblock, it's causing us to pause and say, okay, is there another perspective that I'm not considering? Am I looking at this from a different view? Should I try to think about it in a different manner so that way I can actually connect better with that individual or that team or whatever the scenario might be? But it's just a reminder to say that everything in life requires adaptability. And how can I try to remember and prepare myself to do something that will help whatever it is become a success? And also, I just wanted to call out the last statement that I had there is it's also that we learn by failing, even though that's hard for some of us to recognize and accept. But it is important to fail so that way we can continue to learn and adapt. It's not by forfeiting and just giving up. The next one is compassion and vulnerability. So this leads into the psychological safety that I referenced earlier, but it's also just truly leading with your heart and making sure that you're always keeping in mind the fact that others are growing and that we are there to foster their growth, that just the same as others are fostering our own growth. And something that within the specific program that I'm doing, we are learning consistently about servant leadership, right? Serving by leading those that we are leading in a way. So allowing our followers, even though I don't like that term, but for those around us that are learning from us, we are putting them in front and being more of a coach and helping them. And by doing that, we are learning from them and becoming better leaders and consultants. This next one is Ignatian reflection, and this is something more specific to the courses that I've been taking at Gonzaga. But essentially, what it is it's talking about this Ignatian reflection is talking about the journey that someone went on a long time ago in the Jesuit tradition to go through, and you go on this journey, and on this journey you stop, and the whole journey is about reflecting and really digging deep into who you are and who you want to be and who you don't want to be. And so this pause and play button just are there as a reminder to, it's so easy to get caught up in all the franticness in the day to day and, everything that's going on. But it's also really important that we pause even for just a moment and just think about our tone, think about the decision, think about what it did happen, and was there a better way to do it, or was there something that happened great? Pausing and reflecting on both the positive and the negative so that way we can continue to learn and adapt, as mentioned earlier. This one is related to project that we kind of did as a team where there was a statement that was in foreign language and we were asked to translate it. Of course, none of us being language artists, we didn't know what to do. And basically, the concept is it was a combination of multiple different languages. And by working together and leaning on certain strengths from our team members, we were able to then uncover the different languages that were used and understand what the statement was. And this specific statement that I pulled out translates into leaders take risks. And so it's a reminder, one, to work as a team, lean on others' strengths, never try to do anything yourself. And also be willing to take risks, especially as a consultant. We have to take those calculated risks with our clients and our teams and try different things. And this is just a reminder to do that and that it's okay that we take those risks. We may not succeed, but as long as we're doing it with the intention of doing some good, then there at least will be some kind of a learning or a growth moment out of that. This next one was the community and culture. So culture is very important to me personally. And it's also related to the community because I am a people person. I like being surrounded by different people to learn from and just have a lot of joy of being around other people. So this one was just a reminder that the two of these feed into each other constantly. To have a strong culture, you have to have a good, solid basis of community that supports that culture. And same way, if you don't have a culture, then it's really hard to have kind of a community that is all in line with each other. So this was just reflection of those different components. This one is when we learned about one of the components in the course, it was called this balcony status. And what it means was basically as if you were in the balcony of a play or a situation or whatever. When we're in those throughout our everyday lives and as we're consulting, especially in team scenarios and client interactions, it's to pull up and kind of take ourselves out of that space for a moment and just look around and say, does everyone have a voice? Is there someone's body language that is looking maybe uncomfortable, or are they really engaged? Are they leaning into the conversation? Is one person dominating? Is the tone in the environment right? Like, is it hostile? Is it collaborative? What is that vibe that's kind of going off? Because when we're in the conversations, it's really hard and challenging to kind of take note of all of those unless we do this purposeful pullback and just kind of take a scan of the room and feel the pulse. And that kind of leans back to regulating heat and all those other things that I've already wrapped in. But that's the component there. It's just kind of looking through that lens. And then lastly, this was kind of the overall finished product, and just it was a really great exercise that I was not expecting to enjoy. But by creating something and having ownership over what that looked like, it helped me truly lock in on what my leadership philosophy was. What are the important things that I want to remember as a consultant and as a colleague and as a leader and all of those sorts of things. So I wanted to share that with you so that way you can ideally, as part of the conclusion of this module, my task to you is to do something similar. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to show it to anyone, but just do something. Think about who are you as a consultant? What's important to you? What drives you? What are some areas that you personally want to work on? And maybe you can take some of these as an example or create some of your own. But really just one, forcing yourself to think creatively and do something that's outside your comfort zone and having ownership in that. And then you can tuck away, you don't have to show anyone, like I said, and really just have that ownership over this is who I am and this is who I want to be. And these are the things that I want to remember. And embracing that going outside of your comfort zone at times can really help you develop and grow in different areas where you haven't yet. So thank you for viewing Module 1 and good luck on your projects. I, of course, would love to see them or hear about them if you're willing to share. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy and took something away from this one. Until next time.